Welcome back to Half the Battle. I'm your host, as always, Daniel Levi, your guest co-host, Malcolm the Machine Wellmaker. Today, we're going to talk about UFC 318, Max Holloway versus Dustin Poirier, the trilogy. And my friends, it's going down this Saturday night live at the Smoothie King Center in New Orleans, Louisiana. We got two all-time legends completing the trilogy. It's Dustin Poirier's retirement fight. As a bonus, there's a BMF belt on the line, but I feel like these two don't need no BMF belts. These two are certified BMFs. Malcolm Wellmaker, welcome back to Half the Battle.
What's going on, homie? Glad to be here, man.
Man, the pleasure's all mine. Malcolm, let's not waste any time. Let's get right down to business. Because in this main event, we got Max Blessed Holloway, the former featherweight champion. He's 26-8, taking on the former interim lightweight champion, Dustin Poirier, who's 30-9. Currently, they got it. Max Holloway, minus 140. The comeback on Dustin Poirier is plus 120. So Dustin is 36. Max is 33. And Dustin's going to have a 4-inch reach advantage at 73 inches, but Max is 2 inches taller at 5'11". Malcolm, honestly, before we break down this matchup, since this is the last ever time that I'm going to break down a Dustin Poirier fight, I feel like we should go through memory lane and just talk about a couple of our favorite moments just to honor the legend, you know, and just to start it off, man, because I have watched his entire UFC career, and you know, his UFC debut was at UFC 125, you know, the night that Frankie Edgar and Gray Maynard had that insane fight that went to a draw. But interestingly enough, Jose Aldo was slated to defend his belt against this kid named Josh Grisby, who had come from the WEC, who was finishing everybody. They called the kid a fluke because he kept getting all these first-round knockouts. But hey, he made it to a title shot against Jose. Jose ends up pulling out the fight. So they hit up this kid I've never even heard of named Dustin Poirier. And Malcolm, when I tell you that Dustin Poirier beat the ever-loving shit out of Josh Grisby and left an impression on me, it was unbelievable. And look what he's ended up accomplishing. So for me, that's like the first memory I have of Dustin Poirier, and one I'll always hold fondly, man.
Yeah, no, that's first of all, respect to how much you know about this game, because that's crazy. That's real history. That's real background for Dustin. And I even hate to say this, bro, but I will. When I was first introduced to Dustin, I didn't like him because I was a Conor fan. And that's so crazy to say, because to this day, you know, I'm one of the biggest Dustin fans. He's one of my favorite fighters. His style, his personality, his character, everything about him. One of my all-time favorite fights, like literally top 3, is him and Dan Hooker at the Apex. One of the most brutal fights with you can just listen to the sound and go to sleep, you know, if you're a maniac like me. Man, so yeah, I absolutely love Dustin. Can't believe we saying farewell. But shout out to Dana and the UFC for putting it together, a big event modeled around him and his career.
Yeah, it's amazing. And, you know, when we talk about this being a trilogy, the first time they fought, my man, was all the way back in 2012. 2012. And Max Holloway was only 4-0 as a professional. He's the one that gets the short notice call this time to fight Dustin Poirier. And, man, on the feet, Max was kind of lighting him up a bit. But, you know, Max only being 4-0 at the time, he was just a kid. And Dustin takes him down one time and runs him through a serious series, and eventually gets this mounted triangle armbar, like pulls up the lever, man. Shit was crazy, man. You saw that one?
Yeah, I saw it. Obviously, I had to go back and watch it. I wasn't watching the sport at the time, but absolutely crazy finish, man.
And then they end up running it back at a place you're very familiar with. I ended up getting this little thing here, you know, UFC ATL. Hold on. There we go. Yeah, this is from UFC 236. And that was the main event, you know, Max Holloway versus Dustin Poirier, the rematch. And, you know, I don't say it lightly, Malcolm, when I say that's the best live fight I've ever seen, because you know what the co-main event was for that card, right? Israel Adesanya versus Kelvin Gastelum.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
So for me to say that that's the best fight I've ever seen live really speaks volumes to the kind of war, the kind of heart, the kind of output. I mean, look at the numbers they put up in that fight, man. And you know, Max Holloway over 180 significant strikes, Dustin Poirier over 175 significant strikes. They went tit for tat for 5 straight rounds. Atlanta was on their feet, and you know, we have a lot of experience, you know, watching these fights in Atlanta. For example, when you just competed, you were the main event. I know you weren't officially the main event, but like the energy got so high when you knocked out Moutinho that after that, it was almost like we reached the highest of highs that there was nowhere we could go from there, right? So
Yeah.
everything after that, no disrespect to the fighters, but was just kind of a blur after what you
Mhm.
did. And the reason I have to bring that up is because you think it'd be the same way after Izzy and Kelvin fight, right? You think, oh,
Yeah, right.
this. So for those two to go out there and there were two fight of the nights that night, those two fights,
Yeah.
to go out there and top that, I mean, just speaks volumes to, the kind of legends these guys are. They consistently put on the fights that the fans want to see. And now, Malcolm, we get to see it. We get to see them run it back one last.
Yeah, man.
And I cannot wait, man.
It's incredible, and it's funny that I say this, but when I look at Dustin and I look at Max, those are actually the kind of fighters I want to be. I don't think like on paper their numbers next to their name aren't the prettiest, but if you just look at legacy, if you look at fan favorites, if you look at how much money they've made in this game, man, those are the kind of guys I want to be like. I want to be known as somebody that goes out there, puts my heart on the line, fights no matter what, and goes for the finish every time, man. Those guys are absolute favorites to everybody that loves the sport.
Yeah, they're unbelievable. So, I kind of broke it down the same last time they fought. Look, the first time they fought in 2012, I got to keep it a buck. Max was 4-0. I was confident Dustin had already made a name for himself. I was confident Dustin was going to win. But when they met in Atlanta, Max was on the longest win streak in featherweight history. Dustin Poirier, had worked his way up to a title shot. Like, they were both in prime form, and it was just unbelievable the kind of fight they gave us. And I think, my breakdown back then hasn't changed much now. I said back then, like, in terms of the odds, like, this is a true pick'em fight in my book. What I mean by that is, if you run this match 10 times, you're going to see a different outcome 10 times. You run it 100 times, you're going to see a different outcome 100 times. I mean, the first time was a first round submission, which was like submission of the year. The second time was a 5-round war, fight of the year. So it's like, I don't know what to expect besides violence. Like, I know none of these guys are going to be sniffing crotch. I know the crowd's not going to be booing for this. I know it's going to be the kind of fight the fans want to see. So do you have a lean? Do you just want to see a war, or are you like confident on a side? Like, what do you think about it?
Yeah, I actually do. I got Dustin, and the reason why is because, I know, man. Their last fight, I think both of them were very close to each other, but the difference was the power. You know what I mean? Dustin was just so much more naturally powerful with the shots that he was landing. It was leaving much more of an impression on Max. And then, I mean, this is kind of like not really, I guess, super relevant, but if you look at both of their most recent fights, I think Dustin showed that he leveled up more, and Max didn't get to show a lot. I mean, he fought one of the best of all time, doing one of the things that's going to make them a legend. But Max lost via knockout. So I mean that might have some type of influence on his psyche. You know what I mean? It might have some type of a lingering effect on his chin. It could be a lot of possibles. But I think Dustin showed us that he's even better. So taking those things into account, I mean, I just got to pick Dustin.
Okay, I respect it. So for me, obviously we can talk about the green flags on both sides, the volume, just what they've accomplished. I can go on forever. Look at their resumes. You guys know the green flags. These guys are such legends. But we do have to talk about the red flags on both sides. And here's what they are, in my opinion. For Dustin, it's his retirement fight. And, the history of fighters, do they win or lose on their retirement fight? Oftentimes they lose. Now, granted, Malcolm, there's been a few exceptions. One of my favorite ones was when Chris Lytle got a fight of the night and a submission of the night against Dan Hardy in his retirement fight. He got to have the beautiful speech with his kids in there. Like, bro, that was just beautiful. You see an example like, Robbie Lawler knocking out Nico Price in under a minute. Like, you love to see like that stuff like that. But then, man, there's all the other examples. Don't get me wrong. There's a couple other guys that won here and there, but I'm saying Mark Munoz, the Filipino wrecking machine, he won his retirement fight. But like, besides that, they usually go out bad. But to Dustin's credit, he's not at the point right now where, like the legend Chuck Liddell, where he was getting knocked out every single fight, 5 fights in a row getting knocked out. It's not like that with Dustin. He's coming off a fight of the year contender against Islam. And he said that he doesn't want to let the sport retire him. He wants to retire from the sport. So I mentioned that red flag from the Poirier side, it being his retirement fight, but I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up my opinion of the red flag on the Holloway side. And that's this, man. a lot of us can agree that his fight against Gaethje, not only was that one of the best knockouts we've ever seen, but let's forget about
Mhm.
the knockout for a second. Look at his physique in that fight. It looked like he really put on the size properly
Yeah.
to move up to 55. And it's like, man, this dude's about to have a real bright future at 55s. And the fact that he dropped back down, look, I get it, Malcolm. When you get a title fight, like you ain't saying no to that.
That's
Hey, I'll
right.
cut the
That's
way
right.
for a title fight. You know what? You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, who doesn't want to be a champion? But the great George St. Pierre often talked about the reason that Roy Jones Jr.'s career kind of fell apart. And one thing that can often destroy other fighters' careers is the yo-yoing back and forth, right? You know, it's not just about, hey, you moved up to 55s, great, but then you went back down to 45s. And another thing, you know, we talked about this with another Hawaiian legend, the great BJ Penn. Never been knocked down, never been knocked out. That was the whole talking point for years until he got knocked down and knocked out. And, you know, even like last week with Cater, people were picking him because, oh, he's never been knocked down and all
Yeah.
this stuff. It's like, dude, just because you've never been knocked down and knocked out doesn't mean it can't happen. So you saw in the
Correct.
Gaethje fight, that was the first
Mhm.
time that Max actually been dropped. But then the Topuria fight where he drops the weight, that's the first time he's ever been put out cold. Now, Taporia is a beast, but still, like you said, what are the psychological effects? Now, I am glad he's moving up, but to me, the reason I had to bring up that red flag in comparison to the, you know, Dustin retiring is because I feel like they cancel each other out. And it
Mhm.
brings me back to my original point. I see this being a true pick'em fight, a true 50-50 fight. So what do you kind of think about my assessment of the green and red flags there?
Yeah, I think that they both are very relevant. That voodoo curse of the retirement fight is always the scariest, but I think, like you said, a big point to it is Dustin's not out here just constantly showing that he can't compete with the top competition. I think he gave Islam one of the toughest fights he's had in his career, thus far. You know, so that's a very nuanced red flag, as well as like you said, you know, Max and his red flags. So I think that both of those takes are very good. But I'm still leaning towards Dustin, man. I got him.
Yeah, look, so when this fight first got announced and, you know, Max was the underdog, I was like, shit, like I said before, whoever's the underdog is who I'm picking in this fight because this is a
Yep.
true 50-50 fight in my eyes. Now, I don't think it's going to play out 50-50. I think someone's getting served in this fight.
Yeah, yeah,
But
me too.
but before the fact, I view it like that. So when Max was the dog, I was like, shit, I got Max. But the
Yep.
odds flip. Dustin's the dog. Well, now I got Dustin. So we both got Dustin. I was expecting us to go opposite. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, I don't know how it's going to play out besides that. They're going to draw a line in the sand,
Yep.
stand and bang till one man falls or
That's
until they
right.
get another fight of the year. And
Yeah,
man,
we getting our money's worth, bro.
I'm blessed to no pun intended to watch both of their careers and this fight, man. So yeah, it's
That's right.
amazing, man.
Absolutely.
Co-main event of the evening in the middleweight division. We got Paulo Costa. He's 14-4, taking on Roman Kopylov, who's 14-3 currently. They got it. Roman Kopylov minus 225. The comeback on Costa is plus 190. Both men are 34, but Roman Kopylov is going to have a 3-inch reach advantage at 75 inches, and Paulo Costa is 1 inch taller at 6'1". So another interesting one, Malcolm, because do you remember what Paulo was looking like when he was on his little run when he beat Yoel Romero, earns the
Yeah.
title shot against Izzy? It was
Yeah.
looking like
Yeah.
this dude was a marauder, man. Walks
Yeah.
forward in the pocket without a care in the world, big body kicks, and like the way he looked against Yoel was like, man, this guy could be the future of the division. And the way he got done against Izzy, man, like, you know, talking about how he was getting wasted on wine the night before. Then you
Yeah.
just completely get shut out. Then a grown man humps you on live TV. Then, you know, he just
Terrible.
hasn't come back the same.
Yeah.
It's tough. And I'll talk about Kopylov in a second, but tell me your kind of assessment here because Kopylov, he's kind of crispy, man. Straight punches down
Yeah,
the
no, I
pipe. You
agree.
know, I
I
love
agree.
that.
I
But
agree.
is Costa going to be on the back foot here? Do you think he can get back to kind of that forward pressure marauding style he had, you know, pre-pandemic?
Yeah, you know, so Kopylov is actually a very exciting fighter. I love watching this guy. He's a very clean striker. Guys at that weight class striking like that always stand out. So I like the guy. And you know, like you said, you know, for a while Paulo Costa looked really good. But after Izzy, and then if you want to talk about Strickland, which Strickland, let's be real, is an absolute exception. I think Strickland is a very tough puzzle to solve and he makes MMA guys look like they're not good. We've seen him do that to many world-class strikers, and I mean, Paulo Costa was no exception. So I don't want to necessarily use the Strickland fight as too much leverage against him, but he was very underwhelming in the fight against Strickland. He never got anything going. He kept getting hit by the same tools over and over. I mean, that T kick to the body had his torso purple almost. And I mean, just going off of that, and that downward kind of run he's had, and then looking at Kopylov and how good he looks. I mean, I'm just leaning towards Kopylov being the one that's going to be able to land the more significant strikes. Costa's pretty durable, so it'll probably go to decision. But I just don't see him being able to find a way to outpoint Kopylov in a striking battle.
I agree about the outpointing part 100%. Here's my only thing with Kopylov. Like, from time to time, like, okay, like I said, the straight punches down the pipe, how mechanical he is with his kicks. And, there's not really like any wasted, energy or anything like that. But I say that. And then from time to time, Kopylov will have these optics that I just can't get behind. Like, he'll be teeing off on a guy. He'll be putting a clinic on them. And then all of a sudden he's got his hands on both knees. And I'm talking about as recently as his last fight, Malcolm.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, you can't be gassing out like that
Yeah.
at this level. If Paulo can, tap into that confidence he had when he fought Yoel, when he fought Johnny Hendricks.
Right.
So that's what I'm worried about, especially at this price, because they want you to lay a premium price on Kopylov. But I get it, momentum wise, it's different trajectories. But like, Costa, like, he's got the same physique. He looks like the same guy. He just doesn't fight like the same guy. I feel like my boy BJ Penn would call him an imposter. You know what I'm saying? But listen, man, all respect to the legend, of course. But this is a tough one. But here's how I honestly see it going down. I see Kopylov kind of picking him apart, just kind of stinging him, with straight shots down the pipe, popping that head back with jabs. But I think Costa is going to have the best round he's ever had in round 3, where people are like, dude, like, why didn't you just start throwing earlier in the fight? He's going to lose a 29-28 decision. Everyone that bet Costa is going to be like, what the hell? Why couldn't you just start throwing in round 1?
Right.
But yeah, that's how I think it's going to go. I'm going 29-28 unanimous decision for Roman Kopylov here, my man.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. That's kind of like a mystic prediction that I can very, very much so see happening. Paulo Costa is kind of that guy that seems like he has it in him to be able to find that will to move forward, to land shots, to excite us, but for some reason doesn't pull it out. And all day I could see him, getting outpointed by Kopylov, and then in the last round rallying. I mean, the X factor could be like Kopylov really gasses, hits his knees, and Paulo Costa somehow, just gets enough unanswered shots to get it stopped. But I agree, man. I think I'm going to go 29-28 Kopylov.
And I just got to call someone out. Did you by chance get to see the numbers of the Strickland and Paulo Costa fight? So all right. But you watched the fight, right?
Yeah, I watched it. Yeah.
Okay. Can someone explain to me how the stats counters came to the conclusion that Paulo Costa landed over 150 significant strikes in that fight? Like, what?
Nah. All right, like I said, I watched it, bro, but I didn't count. I didn't tally things up, but I don't know about that, bro. I don't know about that.
No, I mean, you don't got to tally anything. I watched the first 2 rounds. He's running away the whole fight. Like, how do you conclude that? Yeah.
Outrageous.
I'm wondering who that guy had on his DraftKings lineup. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
Now,
man.
Featured bout in the welterweight division, we got Kevin Holland. He's 28-13, taking on Daniel Rodriguez, who's 19-5. Currently, they got Kevin Holland minus 460. The comeback on D-Rod is plus 360. So Kevin is 32, D-Rod is 38. Kevin is 6'3", D-Rod is 6'1". Now, here's the big one. Kevin Holland's going to have a 7-inch reach advantage at 81 inches of reach, man. So much longer guy here. And listen, actually, last time you were on the show, we broke down a Kevin Holland fight, I believe, against Luque. And I told you then, when Holland was up at 85s, kind of fucking off a little bit, fighting these mammoths of men, like Rainer DeRitter and Dolidze. Like, I was on a fade Kevin Holland world tour then, but he smartened up, and so did I. He dropped down to 170 pounds. He's locked in. And something really funny that he said, I heard on one of his media days, they're like, man, Kevin, you're looking better than ever. You're back at 170 pounds. You're taking things seriously. Like, is it time for you to finally have your title run? And you know what he says?
I know what he said.
He's like, dude, keep giving me the old guys. Like, please, that's what I want. And that's what they're giving him. So Look, I know D-Rod's got good
Oh
hands, man,
man.
but you think Kevin Holland's going to keep that streak going against, kind of guys on their way out a little bit?
Yeah, I'm gonna be so honest with you, bro. I am a big D-Rod fan, man. I think he was very exciting when he first got in. I mean, he gave us some great performances. But I watched his last fight, and to be honest, I'm not saying like he found the finish by luck, but I mean it was counter to everything that was going on during the fight. He was having a hard time finding and landing his shots. He didn't look the cleanest, and the finish that he got, I mean, it just wasn't like it wasn't a very technical, crisp way that he found it. And with that being said, Kevin Holland, like you said, has come down a weight class. His last fight, he looked pretty good. And Kevin Holland with a reach advantage like that, I think we'll be able to snipe D-Rod if he gets out of good form, out of good base, and punish him really bad. I mean, I do believe even in D-Rod's last fight, he looked like he got hurt a little bit in one of the rounds. So I think the odds are very heavy, but I don't necessarily disagree. I definitely have Kevin Holland in this matchup.
Yeah, as long as he's fighting these guys, you already know the deal. But also, I heard from his coaches, and like they don't often talk like that. Sometimes they talk like, "Hey, Kevin, come on, man, let's lock in." But they've been saying like, "This is the best Kevin we've seen in a long
Oh
time." And I
wow.
know when you hear that from coaches, like, yeah, okay, I hear
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
in the
yeah,
I'm
that's
in the best shape of my life. I had the best training camp of
right.
my life. But like
And they
they
almost missed
keep it a
weight.
buck about Kevin, man, and they were saying
Yeah.
he's actually locked in.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, nah, I love Kevin Holland. When he's looking good, he's great. And D-Rod, I just don't think is clean enough, and his past performance just wasn't, it didn't leave an influence on me to make me think that he could do really anything to Kevin Holland in this next fight.
Now, next up in the featherweight division, we got a matchup between Dan Ige.
Mm,
He's 19-9, taking on Patricio Pitbull, who's 36-8. Currently, they got a Dan Ige minus 220. The comeback on Patricio Pitbull is plus 185. So Pitbull 38, Ige 33. Now Ige 5'7". They got Patricio listed at 5'6". I think he's more like 5'4". And you're gonna have like a decent reach advantage here
yeah.
for Ige. But I know you got an opinion on this one because I know how you feel about certain things
Yep.
regarding, UFC versus
Let
non-UFC.
it
So I'm going to
go.
let you go first, but before you do that, let me set the table by saying this. So when Patchy Mix came into the UFC, right? Tons of people were on their high horse talking about how, oh, this is the best bantamweight outside the UFC and this and that. And I always thought that was complete fake news because, like, I was saying, dude, this guy's striking is suspect as fuck outside the UFC. This guy is kind of overrated. I'm not disrespecting. This is my
Yeah, yeah,
analysis. This
yeah.
is what I truly feel. I was like, dude, this guy's gonna get exposed when it comes to the UFC. I think maybe me and you even picked Mario Bautista on that show
Yeah, we
together,
did. We
So
did.
like, I was convinced that, Patchy wasn't who they said he was. But Patricio's a little bit different because he was actually legitimately good outside the UFC and he was super well rounded and he beat real guys. He was the first one to hand AJ McKee a loss, which at the time was a huge deal. You should check out his war with Emmanuel Sanchez, one of the best fights in Bellator history. So this guy is well rounded. He's got a kind of this, he's able to lull guys into this false sense of security and play this counter heavy style. And he can also mix it up too. But he's also 38. He's kind of coming to the
Mm,
UFC past his prime. But also that Yair fight was like 5'11 versus 5'4. Now we're kind of getting
man.
close to like, someone close to your own size and
Right.
someone that's not like a former interim champ, let alone a former top 5 guy. Now I
Mm,
respect the hell out of Ige. Like, the Korean Zombie, who's one of my all-time favorite fighters, he's had, fight of the night wars with the two main in the main event, right? Dustin Poirier and Max Holloway, right? He actually finished Dustin Poirier and got a fight of the night, maybe even a fight of the
mm.
year. And he got finished by Max Holloway and got a fight of the night there. And you know what Korean Zombie said? Korean Zombie said that Dan Ige is the hardest hitter he's ever been up against. And like
That's
when
crazy.
you've been in there with Poirier and Holloway, I'm like,
Right.
damn,
Right.
like
Yeah,
that
that's
speaks
crazy.
volumes. But Malcolm, here's my issue with Ige. Number one, the price. Number two, I feel like he's very inconsistent, right? He's 4-6 in his last 10. I feel like he gets his back taken in a ton of fights. I feel like in fights where he drops guys in round 1, he'll go on to lose the next 2 rounds. And that inconsistency at a big price like this, it has me worrisome. Now, of course, there's the chance that Pitbull is cooked and, he's seen better days.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. The margins, the close margins that Ige fights at mixed with Pitbull's a well-rounded, experienced guy. So I got to know, is Pitbull so far gone that he can't get this one done? Or do you think maybe this is a sneaky upset here?
Yeah, I'm glad you opened it with the way you did because I'm gonna stand by it, bro. I think the UFC, is the premier promotion organization group of fighters in the world. Same thing like and I got a habit of going off recent performances, even though fight math doesn't always make sense. But Yair, made it look like they were, classes apart from one another. And I mean, Yair, like you said, former interim champ, top 5, has fought the best in the world, one of the most versatile fighters that are in the division. But once again, man, he made it look like, he was the guy that was the A side and, was just out there to put on a clinic. And then, even though Ige lost his last fight, I don't remember how short the notice was. It was short as hell. It was hours, right? And he comes in and fights Lopez, who is, up next for a title shot, and gave him a hard fight. Like Lopez didn't walk through him at all. Obviously, granted Lopez did a weight cut and all this other stuff, but I mean, Ige raised his stock with that one. I think he impressed me for sure with that one because I thought he was going to have a much harder time. Pitbull kind of did what I expected, where the UFC showed that they're the best in the world, and taking both of those into account, as well as just my narrative of UFC versus everybody in the world, man, I'm going with Ige to take this one.
Listen, man, if this was 3 years ago, I'd debate you like, kind of passionately about this, but like,
Yeah.
but right now it's tough, 38 years old. Not only the Yair fight, but a couple of his last fights outside the UFC. You have seen that decline, but man, I just personally don't trust Ige at these odds. Like, I understand he could obviously clip him, but let's say he doesn't clip him. Then what does this fight look like? Is he going to be taking down Pitbull? I don't think so. Is he going to be out voluming him? I don't know. His volume's super low. And like we said, Pitbull has that kind of counter heavy style. Now, in Pitbull's prime, like I said, when he was training with Cejudo and all those guys and Davison Figueiredo, that guy, it wouldn't even be a question here for me. But at these odds, I think I might have to roll the dice. Not big, because he might just be washed and might just look terrible. Might just get clipped right away. But like, I don't know. I feel like if he doesn't get badly compromised, I feel like he can give Ige a fight. And just Ige's tendency, like you mentioned the Lopez fight, which I'm glad you did, but that's a common theme. It's like he'll fight tough but still lose. You feel me? Like,
yeah, right.
And like, I respect guys like that. I respect everyone that steps in there, but I'm just saying, when we're talking minus 220, they want to lay you. Yeah. They want you to lay a serious premium. I think, look, tons of guys have lost their UFC debuts and not look like themselves. Max Holloway lost his UFC debut. Like, you know what I mean, man? So I'm reluctant, but I think I'm going to go with Pitbull. Give him one last chance. Don't let me down. It's big dog odds. This is a better matchup than the last one. Right. We'll go on the opposite side and take Pitbull, but proceed with caution is all I got to say.
This is the first one that we had odds with each other, so we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, man. Hey, but last time you came on here, you like went balls to the wall with some upsets, and like you came out like
pretty decent.
Oh yeah, very, very decent, man. So yeah, definitely always trust your gut. Now, next up in the lightweight division, we got a matchup between Michael Johnson. He's 23-19, taking on Daniel Zellhuber, who's 15-2. Currently, they got a Zellhuber minus 600. The comeback on Michael Johnson is plus 425. So Zellhuber, check this out. 26 years old compared to my boy MJ. He's 39. He's 39. And Zellhuber, a couple inches taller. But yeah, that reach advantage, 77-inch reach compared to 73 and a half. I mean, I hope for his sake that he finds that range, somewhat quick, because like I've described Michael Johnson like this for years. Michael Johnson is the kind of guy that can beat anybody and lose to anybody. Example, he's got a first-round knockout win over Dustin Poirier, right?
No, that's crazy.
You know that Michael Johnson handed Tony Ferguson his first UFC L back when Tony was in his prime.
Yeah.
You know that Michael Johnson went to Brazil and beat Edson Barboza in a co-main event, right? Like, so that's what he can do, right? But then he'll get heel hooked by Thiago Moises. Then he'll lose a majority decision to Stevie Ray. Like, and then he'll lose to Jamie Malarkey. I don't know what to think, right? It's like he can beat the best guys, he can lose to the worst guys, but it's like with Zellhuber, look, I'm a fan. I love his Mexican fighting spirit. That fight he had with Ribovics at the Sphere was one of the best fights of that year. But my kind of issue with Zellhuber is that he is a little overconfident in his chin. I noticed this on his Contender Series fight with Lucas Almeida. I noticed it in the first round against Francisco Prado, the most recent fight against Ribovics. Like, I love the take one to give one style. I've talked about that many times, and I'm not saying it's not going to work here. I'm just saying at these odds, minus 600, you got to lay $1,200 to just profit 200 if he wins, Malcolm. If he wins, right? So you have to bring these things up. Do you think Michael can pull one out the hat, one last one? I mean, we're talking about, this is one of the original Black Zillion guys. Before they were called Sanford MMA, before they were called Kill Cliff, they were called the Black Zillions. And back then, they used to call him Black Yao because of how fucking fast his hands were. You know what I mean? But do you think a 39-year-old version of him can set back this young, promising, long prospect?
Right. Yeah. I think this is the thing where, when you was listing all these things that I had no idea about with Michael Johnson is, the reality of somebody that's new to MMA and somebody that knows MMA from its roots. And I say that to say, I know the Michael Johnson that's competing now. I don't know the Michael Johnson that was doing all that incredible stuff. The first time I saw Michael Johnson was when Khabib was talking to him while beating him, telling him, hey, you must quit, So that was the first impression I had of Michael Johnson. It wasn't all these legendary things he's accomplished. And Zellhuber is obviously, like you said, a promising prospect. He can grapple, he can strike. He's got, maybe a good and a bad thing, that confidence in his chin. But he's a dog. He has a lot going for him. And it's just, I know the odds are crazy, but I could never put my money on Michael Johnson in this fight. I think 100% the odds makers got it right. I just don't know, like you said, if the strength behind those numbers are necessarily that appropriate.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that. As far as how it goes down, I mean, I definitely think they're going to stand and bang for sure. That first round, it's going to be crazy. But after that, I'm curious because it takes Zellhuber a little bit of time to find that range. Being 6'1" with a 77-inch reach at 155 pounds, about that tall man's defense. Like, have you ever heard of James Vick?
Nah, I know the name, but I can't. What about him?
So he used to fight in the UFC back in the day, and he made it all the way to the top 10 at 155 pounds. Now, he was 6'3" at 155 pounds, right? So like he starts off his UFC career 9-1 and makes it to the top 10, right? But once he started kind of moving up in competition, people exposed him for that tall man's defense like you wouldn't believe. So he goes from 9-1 to, in his first 10 UFC fights, to now he can't win a fight. Now he's getting knocked out every fight. So what I'm trying to say with Zellhuber is right now, I think he's going to be getting away with these things. But as he moves up the ranks, I'm worried that it could eventually turn into a James Vick situation with how much confidence he has in his chin, which he's a Mexican warrior. He wants to bang, man, So look, I think here it could be a knockout. It could be drop him and sub him. It could be something like that. So I agree with you. I am going to go with Zellhuber, but just proceed with caution at these odds, because there's been times where I thought Zellhuber was a surefire lock, and then he stared at Trey Ogden for 3 straight rounds. Now, that was his debut, He's grown since then, but still, just saying, at these odds, you got to proceed with caution. Now, I got one more fight I want to break down with you. It's a bantamweight matchup, and then after we do that, for the fans, we're going to do a little giveaway, as well as, it's tradition when Malcolm's on here that we do a fan Q&A. So make sure y'all ask good questions. Only the good questions will be presented. But so let's break this one down real quick. So next up, in the bantamweight division, your division, 2 future opponents. We got Kyler Phillips, who's 12-3, taking on Vinicius Lockdog Oliveira, who's 22-3. Currently, they got it Vinicius Oliveira -150. The comeback on Kyler Phillips is +130. So Kyler is 30 and Vinicius is 29. Vinicius is 5'9". Kyler's 5'8", but it's going to be Kyler that has a 2-inch reach advantage at 72 inches of reach. Man, this is an incredible fight. You know, remember that first like kind of short or reel that me and my artist made for you, talking about how like we think you're the best unranked prospect
Yep.
at bantamweight, but we think Lockdog is the best ranked prospect
Yeah.
at bantamweight. And what I like about this kid, Lockdog, look, you might watch it on film and be like, man, it's kind of ugly. I don't know, but like the impact he has with his shot
Bro.
is insane. His physicality and his heart, man. Like that Bernardo Sopai fight where like that first round, like it was looking like, damn, this is looking rough. And then goes on to get the knockout of the year with that flying knee. That last fight, he fights Saeed Nurmagomedov in Abu Dhabi. And you know Saeed has insane spins, insane front chokes. And like I even think Lockdog might have hurt his rib early. Like he was like like pointing to his rib, and man, he kind of gas pedaled him in the second and third rounds, put it on him. I was like, damn, like you have to get Lockdog out of there. In fact, if you look at all his losses, it has been him getting caught on his regional scene like badly, because the way he fights with insane confidence, he kind of tries to big brother guys. And I'm not talking about wrestling, I'm talking about striking, but it's not the way you go about things. It's different, right? He fights with his hands completely down. He walks people forward. He plays big mental warfare. He starts feeling himself, and then he starts to really put it on guys now. And I love it. But with his opponent, Kyler Phillips, he's massively talented, man, especially in that first round. Like, dude, did you see that head kick he landed on Song Yadong? Like to this day, to quote Deontay Wilder, I don't know how Song Yadong ate that, but let me say this, Malcolm, that same shin to chin lands on Vinicius, it could be lights out, and because a shin to chin does not discriminate. It does not care who you are, right? You hit that button, and it's over with. So my worry is the early going. But here's my thing with Kyler Phillips. People say he has a cardio problem. It's not a cardio problem. It's a pacing problem. For this man to make 135 pounds, that means that he's doing his runs. He's doing his strength and conditioning program, because like, dude, you ain't making no 135 at the top 15 at bantamweight if you ain't, putting in your miles. What I think it is the ridiculous footwork. Everything he does is dynamic, insane explosive takedowns. Like I said, the kicks come out of nowhere. That first round, Kyler Phillips is hell on wheels. But do you think there's a chance that Vinicius can kind of, weather that early storm, gas pedal him in the second and third, like Paiva did, like Rob Font did? But before you answer that, I just want your assessment on these two future opponents of yours.
I just want to start off by saying, what a fight, bro. Oh my goodness. This is a great fight. Talking about Kyler Phillips, man, he is that guy, like you said, that is very talented. His bag is very deep. The way he strings together combinations, the way he moves on his feet. I mean, his resume, the people he's fought and beaten. This guy's a very, very talented guy. He's not that guy that has those like crazy, absolute wild knockout hooks and stuff like that. But he's gonna be throwing things that if you don't see him coming, bro, that shin, like you said, can catch the jawline and just really do some damage, man. It's a great guy to watch compete. And then looking at him fighting not Barcelos, looking at him fighting Oliveira, like you said, now this dude is a truck, bro. Like you can tell, like you said, he's got that lion heart where he walks forward and he wants to put that power on you. We all love to see it. That's why we watch MMA in the first place. And he's one of those guys that if he lands, it could be the first, second, or third punch in that combination. He's putting enough in it that'll have you looking at the ceiling. So I like both of these guys. I think both of them are very good fighters. Kyler Phillips being the more technical approach kind of guy, and Oliveira being the more, I'm applying pressure, and if one of these shots hit you the way I want it to, I'm gonna take something from you kind of guy. But to be honest, when I'm looking at the matchup between these two guys, I see Oliveira and his pressure being enough to keep Phillips on the back foot and possibly put a couple shots on him. I don't know enough to put him out, but I think enough to definitely take rounds from him and leave an impression on the judges with damage over the quantity of shots.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of see it as this first round, against Kyler, no matter who you are, you gotta just, maybe
Yep.
be on your bike a little bit, just be defensively sound. Hey, Oliveira, let's keep our hands up in that first round. You know what I'm saying?
Good luck.
Once Kyler starts to slow down, then we can get a little confident. But
Yep.
yeah, I also kind of see him being able to gas pedal him in the second and third. It's just, what my concerns are when you have that kind of aura about you where you fight with your hands down, you walk guys down without a care in the world. And he has been caught before in the past. I know he's tightened things up. And one thing I want to give Oliveira credit for, because I have been kind of like following him on Instagram. Like, this guy's a professional, man. Like, this guy stays in shape year round. I don't know for sure, but I think he's harvesting the Garden of Life fruits and vegetables. I mean, this guy is coming in prepared. That's that's one thing I know. But the first round, Kyler Phillips is always hell on wheels. But after that, what's going to happen? So I don't know for a fact, but I'm gonna go Oliveira here, man.
Me too.
I like the momentum. I like where he's trending, and yeah, let's see what he does with it.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think it's, it could go either way, but in the most likely scenario, I think the combination of pressure and power is going to work in the favor of Oliveira. But aside from, the main event, this is one of the fights that I'm looking forward to very, very much, obviously, because we're talking about bantamweights here.
Yes, sir. All right. So, couple things before we get you out of here. Number one, let's do a giveaway for the fans. So, check this out. I got this UFC hat right here. It's got the tag. It's brand new, all this stuff. So what we're going to do is I'm going to send this to Malcolm. He's going to sign it for the winner. And, I'm going to cover shipping, all that. He's going to send it to you. But what do y'all got to do to get this? Man, listen, I've been grinding for a very long time. I've been paying my dues. All I'm asking is get the Half the Battle YouTube channel to 10K subscribers. That's it. Get me to 10K subscribers, and we're going to give out Malcolm Wellmaker signed stuff. Maybe even more than the hat. Let's see what I got in the collection. But, Malcolm, you're down to hook up the fans. Did they hook me up with 10K?
100%, man. Listen, bro, aside from you being a great person, like I know you personally and I've known you for a long time. If you just want to talk about knowledge of the sport, perspective and breakdowns, man, you are talented at what you do, man. You can do this on a really high level. A lot of times you're right about things that people have no idea about, man. And you call
like
me
you?
a talent. Yeah, I was about to say that's where I was going. You called me a talent before I even, knew how to sprawl. So man, I think you deserve 10K at the very least if we can't get you more. So if me signing the hat's gonna help you get there, let's make it happen.
Absolutely. So guys, y'all know what to do. Get me to 10K subs, and someone's gonna get some signed Malcolm Wellmaker gear. So we'll do a little fan Q&A we always do. So the fans leave me some good questions for Malcolm. But before we do that, I got a couple questions for you, as always.
What up?
So listen, obviously I'm not the matchmaker, but I do have some fights in my head that I want to see you take next. Now, if they want to keep it kind of slow build, maybe this next fight until the next, until the further one where you're going to actually talk about, fringe top 15 guys and whatnot. There was a dude, and he could even have the same management as you. I don't know if you saw this. His name's Carlos Vera. He's 38 years old, and he went up against this undefeated African prospect, and he was a massive underdog, right? And I'm talking about, like, you look at their physiques and like the African prospect, you know what I'm saying? Looks like he's going to kill this guy. And this like little short old dude head kick drops him and chokes him out and gets a performance bonus.
Oh, wow.
And just throw the name Carlos Vera to your manager and see what he says. Because, hey, you're both coming off performance of the night, first round finishes. I think it makes sense. And I love the matchup for you. Another one, if we're kind of ready to kind of move you up a little bit faster, and I think there might be a chance that this guy also has your management, not sure. But I think you're ready for the Ricky Simone test. I legitimately think you're ready for the Ricky Simone test. Like, listen, I know he's a well-respected veteran. Hey, he's got to win over the current champion, Merab Dvalishvili.
Crazy,
inside the distance. He beat Montel Jackson. He set back some real prospects. I think, in my humble opinion, that you're ready for that test. Now, are those two fights that interest you? Is there something else in the works? What do you kind of think about what I'm saying here?
Yeah, so I'm not familiar with the first guy. I'd have to go and look him up, but I don't doubt that you got some good points you're making, right? But Ricky Simon, bro, is actually a very exciting fight when I look at him. Obviously I just watched him fight Smotherman on really short notice. And that was actually a pretty exciting fight, and hats off to Smotherman for putting on a show on such short notice. But I see a lot of things I like in that fight. You know what I mean? I watch him, and knowing his resume, knowing his record, knowing what it could do for my career, that's a fight that I actually would definitely take in my next one if that was offered to me. But I can't say whether it is or isn't in the works because I truly don't know if his name's been tossed in the hat or not.
Yeah. Well, that's definitely one to consider. Also, man, UFC Atlanta, dude. I mean, I mentioned it earlier how you were the main event. Like after your fight, the energy just went down. It's not disrespecting any of the other fighters. I mean, I enjoyed Ione and Cody Garbrandt. Like
Mm-hmm.
there were some good fights, but like when you just hit the mountaintop, man, it's like, how do you go from there? And also, I want to say one other thing. People were wondering why I haven't been brutal on Chris Moutinho. Why? Because Chris Moutinho is the man. If it wasn't for Chris Moutinho, Malcolm
Mm-hmm.
Wellmaker wouldn't have fought at UFC
Yep.
Atlanta. So I don't care what anyone says about this dude. Chris Moutinho, you come to Atlanta, you want bottle service sent to your room, you got it. Strippers, say less. An ounce of the best, let me know. Because,
Yeah.
bro, you took one for the team, and Atlanta, Augusta, just Georgia in general will forever have your back. So all respect to Chris Moutinho, because fans now that don't know the backstory will be like, oh yeah, he's just getting fed Chris Moutinho. They don't know about some of their favorite prospects
No. Yeah,
turning you
yeah,
down.
bro.
If they heard the guys that turn you down, they'd be like, oh shit, I didn't realize
That's
that.
right.
And then, it's funny. Guys get the call up to fight Malcolm Wellmaker. Oh, now I can make 125 pounds. Oh, now I have this random injury that came out of nowhere. But
uh,
Chris Moutinho answered the call. So
yeah.
I don't care what anyone says. He will always have my respect.
Bro, Chris Mutino is amazing, man. I mean, obviously, everybody respected him for taking the fight against Sean O'Malley. Look at the level he jumped to, and look at the fight he gave us when he did that with Sean O'Malley. But same thing with me. This was his second opportunity to realize his dreams, something that you definitely don't want to drop again. He took that fight against me in my backyard. 10 days, 10, 11 days. It was crazy. And then on top of that, I felt him in that octagon. And man, he came to fight. You know what I mean? There were plenty of shots I hit him with before I put him out. Bro, his heart never wavered. And he was in there to fight, to weather the storm and try to wear me down, man. Nothing but respect to that guy. He's tough as they come. And like you said, without him, my career wouldn't be what it is right now.
Yeah. So all respect, Chris Moutinho. And I hope they do Moutinho and Simon.
Oh man, that'd be crazy, bro. Listen, bro. Him, Cameron Simon. I think both of those guys could both get fights that are more in their favor as far as stylistically speaking, and give us great performances, and go on to have good careers. I just had to do what I do.
Oh, yeah. No, but like Simon,
Yeah.
I still got hopes for. He's like 23, 24. He's a kid.
I know, bro. He's got so much room and time left in his career. He can do a lot, man, for sure.
Now, I know obviously he was super disappointed because he put a lot into that, but did y'all have any kind of interaction at all, or?
Yeah, man. That kid is thoroughly just a sweet person. Before the fight, he followed me on Instagram. He shook my hand in the hotel multiple times. Never had anything but a smile for me. And afterwards, we had a short conversation and everything. And he had nothing but respect and congratulations for me after what I did. So big love to him, and I hope to see him do great things.
And Moutinho, I'm assuming y'all didn't talk, right?
Yeah, I never ran into him again after the fight, unfortunately. But same thing, man. I hope good things for him.
Absolutely, absolutely. A funny story. His manager DM'd me after the fight. I'll tell you about that later. But
That's
hey,
hilarious.
yeah, I'll tell you that later. But anyways, fan
Okay.
questions now. So before you answer this, let me preface this. So Ramiro said Malcolm versus Alexandre Topuria. Why is he saying that? Because there's been multiple reports. Now, a lot of these guys that have been doing it have a reputation for sharing fake news, but there's been multiple people saying this. Are there any legs to this? Like what can you say about that?
So first of all, this is something that I learned when I got into the game is that y'all find out about stuff before I do. And I'm so serious. Last time Chris Mutino happened, remember, me and you was on the interview. And when I got off, the contract was in my email. So, I don't doubt that these guys have heard something that's legitimate. And also I can say that when the rumors started getting incredible traction and I started being like, man, like, is it happening? I reached out to my manager and he didn't necessarily deny it. So he followed up with the matchmakers, and obviously they're still working on more than just, they're not committed to one match at this point in time. But I do believe that the Topuria name is in the hat. I don't know how much they're leaning towards it, but it's a possibility, no matter how small that possibility is.
And what would it mean to you to just have your name on the bill with the name Topuria, have the Wellmaker name right next to Topuria? Because not just that, but the buildup is going to be the most intense buildup you've ever had. You're going to have Georgian and Spanish flags all over your comments. Now, I know you're already it's almost like you're media trained. I believe you're not. You're just a natural,
no, just me.
Yeah, you're just you, but like, I know that shit's not going to bother you, but it's going to be a new experience where every comment is going to be the buddy's flag from all his fans. He's got massive support, and rightfully so. He's a Topuria. But so, first question, what would it mean to you to have the Wellmaker name associated with Topuria? And how do you feel about, getting spammed with all those flags on your comment section?
Yeah, I've already had so many like visions in my head. Like I sit here and I think about Alexander Topuria in training camp and Ilya in his ear, telling him how to beat Malcolm Wellmaker. Like, bro, I think about something like that and it's crazy to me. Imagining Ilya trying to imitate my style in a camp for his brother. Imagining him being opposite my corner in the octagon. That would be there. That's a step so big forward for me, so big for my career, my legacy. And to be honest, I think a win-win situation for me. I mean, if I go out there, regardless of what happens, if he takes me to decision and I don't knock him out, you guys get a fight of the night. I get to show off those skills in my wrestling bag that you guys haven't seen yet. And I get to go against somebody that we all know has world-class skill level in every discipline. It's a fight that gets me excited. You know what I mean? I wish I knew more about whether it's going to happen or not. But I'm kind of in the same boat as you guys. But just like I said, imagining my name next to his name, whether it's a feature prelim or even on a main card, man, would just be an absolute dream come true. And you guys see me hit another level in my training camp to prepare for him.
So, last time we talked about how now people are saying you're first round or bust. Well, ever since the Moutinho fight, it's gone to a new level. Now they're saying you're right hook or bust. So to me, having seen you knock guys out with left hands, having seen what you do with your kicks, and I feel like, people don't even know what you're going to bring. And not only that, I feel like they're blind to what you did against Simon and Moutinho because of the right hooks. Did they not catch you coming out like Conor versus Nate, just fucking slamming that calf right off the bat? Right. Did they miss that or something?
Yeah, I think the moment, the window of the knockout is just so overwhelming that it's hard to take the other moments that built up to it. You know what I mean? The body work that led up to it, the leg kicks that led up to it. And we're talking about leg kicks from orthodox, from southpaw, you know what I mean? I'm doing a lot of things that's setting up these big moments, and it's going under the radar. And still, we're just talking about striking. We're not talking about my grappling yet. We're not talking about my wrestling yet. So, it's a blessing and a curse. And I even think that if I was to go out there and straight up shut down Topuria, they're gonna say Topuria was a fake, he was a fraud. It's always gonna be something. But I'm cool with it. As long as I'm going out there, I'm showing you guys that I can beat whoever they put in front of me, and I'm making money, man. It is what it is.
Yes, sir. So, Voice of Reason, shout out. He's a good fan of the show, but I gotta address this. So he said Moutinho needs a new manager for real. I watched some of his interviews with him. He said his manager basically just called him up and told him to go fight Wellmaker. He got done dirty. I disagree. Let me tell you why. Because first of all, we already mentioned 4 people said no to the fight. Now, Chris Moutinho not just was on like a 5-fight win streak, he was on a 5-fight kill streak outside the UFC. So it's literally this. If you want to come back to the UFC, then you have to fight Malcolm in Atlanta. If you don't want to come back to the UFC, all right, no big deal. Go keep fighting in, Boston or whatever, man. But like
Right,
it
right.
was so I give a shout out to his manager Tyson Chartier for giving his, one of his pupils like the chance to make some of the most money he's made in years, get back in the UFC. He's got a guaranteed second fight now. I feel like it was either like if this fight didn't happen, he would have never been in the UFC again. So I kind of disagree, man. What do you feel? How do you feel about this?
Yeah, no, I agree. His manager did him great. He made more money in this fight than those local fights for sure. Even though he was running through guys, 5 finishes back to back, he wasn't making any money. A lot of you guys had no idea that he was even doing that until he got his call back to come to the UFC. So when you go to the UFC, you get finished twice back to back and sent back to the regional scene. You usually don't get a call back at all. So shout out to his manager for keeping his ear in the organization, staying tied in, and like you said, me ending up in a situation where they want me on this local card, I'm willing to fight whoever, and they need somebody. That was the stars aligning to give him an opportunity to get back in the biggest organization in the world, and that comes with its cons, and that's me being the guy on the other side of the octagon. But like you said, man, shout out to his manager. He gave him another life-changing opportunity. Chris Mutino can go on to put on fights of the nights, get these 50K bonuses, make a career, and be good to go. He just had to go through me or try to get that opportunity again.
Now you're for sure trying to get one more in before the end of the year, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. If I don't get one more in, I'm upset.
Yeah, man. All right, let me pull up some more questions. So to the fans, sometimes after the fact, I see questions that I didn't see before because like this shit's just like going crazy. There's like a bunch of y'all in here, man, which I'm so grateful for. So before I get to the next question, do me a huge favor. Smash that like button, hit the subscribe button so we can get to 10K, so we can give out free Malcolm Wellmaker signed gear.
Yes,
And
sir.
yeah, man. So let's see what else we got. Hold on. Sorry, I just gotta scroll down just a little bit
Yeah.
more. Um, but yeah, man. So okay. What do you think about Peyton Talbot's last fight? Getting back on track. That was an amazing fight, amazing performance. How'd you feel about that and his maturity and growth?
Yeah, I'm happy for dude, man. Obviously I've had this competitive not necessarily rivalry with him, but he got in the year before me. Obviously, same weight class, similar style, similar image. So watching him rise was something that I was a little bit envious towards because I wanted to do those things. I wanted those opportunities. I wanted to show the world what I could do. So, I watched him, and when I saw him get derailed a little bit, I actually ended up kind of disappointed because I was enjoying the hype train just like everybody else, and I didn't want to see it get stopped so soon. So this fight that he most recently had, I watched very closely, and I'm happy for him, man. Like all of the doubters that were out there that said that he was like zero grappling. You know what I mean? He went out there and not just showed that he could defend in that area. He actually decided to engage in that area. He maintained top position. He put some damage on him. You know what I mean? There was a lot of things he did in that fight that were great. So big shout out to him. Happy for the guy. But I also saw a lot of things in that fight that made me even more excited for if the day comes that me and him get to share the octagon together.
And the no grappling thing is BS. You saw that lat drop he hit on Ione?
What? That's what I said. When he hit that thing, I was like, nah, he's got a bag for sure. You don't lat drop people, especially Barcelos, with luck. That takes some technique. That takes some muscle memory. He wrestles. He does his thing. It just didn't show in that fight.
Yes, sir. So E10 said, bro, Wellmaker, you've made me quite some coin. I wish I could buy a jersey or something of yours because you're awesome. Hey, Grizzly FICO, tell him, tell him, tell him,
Yeah,
tell him.
yeah, yeah. So speaking of that, my merch guy, we're really good friends, and we try to do a lot of stuff for the community. So we are actually doing a giveaway for my debut jersey against Cameron Simon. So go to grizzlyfightco.com, and just by entering your email, you enter the drawing for that jersey, and you can buy a $15 sticker pack for 5 extra entries in this giveaway. So go for it, man. Try to get that jersey. It's signed by me. Yeah, there you go. It's signed by me. It says 159 KO Kansas City. Got my signature on it. And if you can't get the jersey, like this channel, go subscribe, and possibly you can get the hat.
All right, so hold on. Let's talk through these things. So this is the jersey for the giveaway, right?
Mhm.
But then right here, yo, you got your new blue
Yeah.
collar wallet. Come on, man.
Yes,
Blue
sir.
collar wallet. Tell me about
We
this, man.
just dropped that. So like I said, me and my merch guy, we've been very close friends for a long time. And he comes up with these amazing concepts. And obviously, most of the merch we've made has been for fights, but we have so many ties to blue collar, obviously, with my work history and with my supporters, that we were like, bro, let's come up with something for blue collar. So next came was the blue collar wallet lineup, and that is the first shirt to hit that lineup. It says heavy hitters on the back with the American flag. Got the pocket on the front like a work tee. Bro, it's badass. I'm not gonna lie, it's probably one of my favorite releases so far. I got a few of them at the house. I wear them, man. I love them. So if you are a fan of that style of shirt, go and get one, man. They're out now.
And then also, of course, I mean, if you like that Moutinho Naka, I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, we got a few of those left. Not many at all, man. Most of them are sold out, but we got some larges and extra larges still in stock. So that is the shirt that we put together for the Atlanta 404. It's got a billboard with the area code. Man, it's a very special release, man. Great shirt. Still available right now.
Yeah.
GrizzlyFightCo.com.
Yeah. My only bone I gotta pick, okay,
What
is
up?
so my artist, Meticulous, like you've seen the incredible reels and shorts that we made that
Yes,
with
yes,
you that
yes.
have gone viral and all that.
Yeah, y'all got some good stuff.
He's from Canada, and like as he wanted to buy the $60 hoodie, and like y'all don't ship to Canada, man.
I
We gotta
know,
fix
bro.
that. We
I
gotta fix
know.
that.
Yes, look, guys. Like I said, my merch guy is one of my best friends. We doing this together. We learning, and that's something that we figuring out, man. You know, we obviously were catering to the hometown, the states, and now we're working on expanding and making sure we getting everybody that's showing love what they want from us. So we working on it, guys.
All right, so Meticulous, you're gonna get that hoodie soon. Don't worry, bro.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. I'll get Dan to send me your information to make sure we make it happen.
Hell yeah. So Cole said, Malcolm, are you a boxing fan? What do you think about Usyk and Du Bois and Pacquiao and Barrios?
Yeah, so I'm a really big boxing fan, but I'm not like so involved in boxing that I'm super up to date on everything. But these two matchups I know slightly. The Pacquiao and Barrios a little bit more. Usyk and Du Bois, I got Usyk. Usyk's a beast, man. I think he always comes out and surprises us with what he shows us he can do to world class fighters. And Pacquiao and Barrios, I got Barrios, man. Barrios is really, really good. Obviously, world champ before he fought Javante Davis. We never saw him on the losing end of a fight. So I'm a big Barrios fan, super fast, super technical, Mexican style, and I just think that Pacquiao. I mean, come on, man. He's far from his prime, and Barrios is still young, world class fighter. I think he's gonna have his way.
So Dexter wants to know, Malcolm, are the Magic City wings as good as advertised? If not, where's your go-to strip club for some good wings? Back in the day, back in the day.
Okay, yeah. I was about to say. So I'm gonna be honest. I've never been to a strip club before, bro. And definitely not Magic City, obviously. So I don't know how good their wings are. But I guess I'm kind of like a bum because, bro, I go to like Buffalo Wild Wings and Wingstop to get my wings, bro. Lemon pepper at Wingstop and those fries, that's good for me, bro.
Yeah, and I can let you know the Magic City wings are good as hell, man. Oh, and he also wants to know, are you a fan of Brazilian steakhouses as much as I am and him?
Also, never been to one. So look, as far as I know, right, Brazilian steakhouses bring you food as long as you want it. Bro, I avoid buffets at all costs. I mean, it might just be my athleteism, you know what I mean? How we just kind of watch our weight and man, I try to make sure I'm always in my calorie count. So I don't really go to buffets or anything like Brazilian steakhouses. I've never been to one.
And maybe after your next bonus.
Maybe so. Maybe so. If you catch me that 1 week after my fight, I'm having some fun. I'm eating good. Maybe we can make it happen on the next one.
And so my boy Finesse the Book said, Malcolm, what do you credit for helping you be so calm in the octagon? You've been on the huge stages already so early in your career, and you seem to be so calm in the cage. Now, before you answer that, what I want to know is how the hell did you not gas out in the walkout in Atlanta, dude?
Bro, it's so funny. When I finally made it to the cage and I started taking off my gear, I was like, holy shit, my heart rate's kind of high. Like, I definitely spent more energy than I thought I would, jumping and enjoying myself on the way to the cage. Definitely 100% worth it. Would do it all over again. But talking about my nerves in the cage, I really don't know, man. Maybe it's just like a God-given thing, but under pressure, I just tend to perform well. And it's weird to me too, because I mean, I watch a lot of my favorite fighters, and I mean, they all look calm as well. But I've noticed when I do go back and watch my fights, even the commentators mention how exceptionally calm and poised I look, and for whatever reason, I've had that quality. And when they lock the cage and they ring the bell, bro, things go slow motion. The crowd gets quiet, and I'm hunting.
You also want to know, who do you consider to be the toughest fight in your division?
It's Marab, bro. I really do think it's Marab, because he's the type of guy that even if I have the skill set to shut down his takedown, that doesn't mean he's gonna stop shooting it. And if he occupies me with that enough, it makes it to where I'm engaged in that battle more than I'm engaged in my ability to put a shot on his chin. I think he's the toughest fight, not just stylistically. I think his conditioning is absolutely absurd. I think the aura, the idea of fighting the Marab, you know what I mean, also contributes to, the toughness of the match. I got to go with the champ.
Alejandro Sosa said he's getting your hoodie.
Hey.
Yeah, man. A lot of people in here are like, damn, I got that shit looked fire, man. Shout out my boy Grizzly Co, man.
Appreciate it, home. Yeah, man. Look, he does a fantastic job, man. He's been growing alongside me, and everybody that's gotten gear from us or wants gear from us is always happy with our designs and the things that we putting out.
So after, you knock out Moutinho, then, look, it's in Atlanta. You're from Augusta, but it's still Georgia, man. I mean,
That's right.
basically you were the king of Atlanta that night. Now, after the fights, you go back to the Fighter Hotel, and you had like 500 people there, wanting to talk to you, take pictures with you. And here's my thing, man. Like, I'm not a fighter, but I still make content. I want to be appreciated for my content. I always love when people, show me support. But I gotta admit, if I was in a hotel with 500 people trying to talk to me, I'm grateful, but I feel like I might get a little overwhelmed. You were like, smile on your face the whole time. You stay there until 4 a.m. You took a picture with literally every single person. You listened to what every single person had to say. You didn't kind of rush anyone to like stop talking. No, like, bro, like you were so cool. Like, what's that like moment for you? Like living your dream, feeling that appreciation, that support, and not being impatient, because tons of fighters don't want to deal with this shit, man. They're like, bro, like it was cool at first to take a couple pictures, but now I'm like jaded and stuff. Dude, this was like you were living it up, like living your dream. Like, what was that moment like?
I pray that it's not because it's new to me, and it's not super new to me at this point. Obviously it's pretty regular when I go out to events now. That's kind of what it's like. But man, I understand what it means to these guys, these young guys, these huge fans, to actually get a real interaction with me and realize, I'm actually in real life how I am on TV. I'm not just the smile for the public in front of a microphone, but I care about these guys. I ask them their name. I take a picture with them. I tell them check it to make sure you like the picture. You know what I mean? I try to sign everything I can, because I just know that those moments, they'll literally be telling their kids about it. You know what I mean? They'll hold on to that piece of merch. And for the rest of my career, win, lose, or draw, those guys are going to be standing beside me and saying they don't care how good I perform because of the way that I made them feel. I really believe that that's going to be everlasting. I think that impact on them means more than the money I make in the cage. And so I try to take the time as much as I can until security starts telling me, you got to go, to say what's up, put a smile on these people's faces, and take my time with them.
Yeah, man. I mean, when I got there, I was rolling deep, and like, dude, you took a picture with every single one of my friends, talked to them, and going into that, before they had met you, they already liked you. I mean, you're the guy from Georgia representing us, and
That's
representing us with vicious faceplant knockouts, no less, right? So like, they're already fans, but like after that, now it's like you're their favorite fighter. Now it's like they're hitting me up, hey, when's Malcolm fighting? When's Malcolm fighting? And like, reminds me of me when I saw you on the regional scene, me always hitting up Jesse Wable, hey, when's Malcolm fighting? Or hitting up this guy, that guy, because like people know you're from Augusta, I'm from Atlanta. So yeah, it's amazing to see these like full circle moments and like people are starting to catch on. So yeah, I mean, I don't need to tell you to just, keep staying humble, keep working hard because like you're a guy that's been doing that your whole life. And again, when someone gets a 50K bonus, let alone 100K in 2 months, like you did, you hear so much about fighters or not fighters, athletes going broke, athletes seeing money they've never seen. A year later, it's gone, right? Like I told you that quote my dad said, you're only a millionaire if you have $1 million, right? Like, and in your case right now, you're only worth 6 figures if you have 6 figures. What that means is you go buy your friend a house, you go buy a Porsche, you got all of a sudden that money's gone. And the fact that you know the value of money, you know what it means to be broke, you know what it means to work hard, blue collar. I'm just so glad you're in the UFC right now, because we'll talk. I want you to answer about what I just said here in a second, but I want to also say that a lot of people's criticism of you, they don't criticize your punching power, they don't criticize your striking, your swag, everything. You know what they criticize? Oh, he's 31. He's 31. Like as if we need to roll out the wheelchair and the crutches. Or I'm like, dude, if Malcolm got to the UFC when he was 22, he'd be out the UFC also at 22. You feel me? So
I agree. No, I agree. Absolutely. It's crazy because, the thing that they criticize the most, I think is almost like my biggest blessing. At this age, man, I'm so level-headed. I'm so focused. I'm so much more wise. I've had that life experience behind me where I had to work for every dollar. I've went broke multiple times. I've had those hardships in my life in and outside of the cage. It's just so many things happen so right for me for the stars to align. And then, I mean, just look at what I've done in my first 2 fights. I made over 100,000 in 6 weeks. Changed my life, changed the life of the people around me, changed the whole scene in Augusta forever, I'd like to think. And I just can't wait to see what's next. You know what I mean? I'm working with the Performance Institute now, bro, and I'm so serious when I tell you, like, we're tracking metrics and I'm getting stronger and faster. It's scary. Oh, man, I can't wait to see what I do next, man. It's a big blessing.
Yeah. And one last one. Jeremiah wants to know, who is someone you want to fight, who you think would give you a challenge, but you want the fight to test yourself besides Merab and besides Peyton Talbot. We know you want that.
Of course.
So, now, obviously, I threw out the Ricky Simone suggestion, but I want one coming from you.
Yeah, I want a Poirier fight now. I mean, everybody that talked about it enough. I keep seeing the comments about how that's the one that everybody wants the most. Hell, when I look at the fight, that's the one I want the most now too. Thinking about Ilya on the other side of the cage next to his brother, thinking about the world-class skill sets that they have and what it would mean for my career and what's next if I go out there and I put it on them. That's the fight that I want the absolute most right now. And whether it happens next or the fight after that one would be a dream come true. And I want to definitely get that on my bucket list before anybody else gets to do it.
And I feel like that fight would present you with the opportunity. Not that you give a fuck what anyone says. I mean, what the bank account and what the win-loss says is what's most important. But like,
that's right.
I feel like you'd be able to show off different parts of your game. I don't want to give away
100%.
too much range kicks, but like, I feel like
that's right.
I feel like people would learn. Oh, he's not just a right hook guy. And again, on that topic, like I said, I've seen you knock guys out with left hooks. I've seen kicks, like everything. So it's hilarious to me that they think you're just you only have a right hand because the last 3 fights, it's incredible the streak that you've been on. Like I wouldn't have expected. No, I expected the knockouts, but for it to be the same, look, it's the same arm, but it's not the same punch. Against Simon was kind of like a lead, from southpaw, whereas Bramhall was kind of a pull counter. Moutinho was like you gave him a crazy feint and then
that's right.
dove in there. So any last comment regarding your style that people haven't seen, or do you just want to keep it on the DL and let them find out for themselves?
Yeah, I don't care if the world thinks I don't have any takedown defense and I just rely on my right hand. That's fine with me. You know, as I climb the ranks, as I fight tougher opponents, as they present me with better challenges, I'll be able to show people what I can do. But until then, you know, I'll take the heat, I'll take the accusations of being a fraud, right hander bust, and you know, keep on pursuing, like you said, those win losses in that bank account, man.
Yeah, Ramiro said, "What's his wrestling background?" It's not that you have a wrestling background; it's that look who you're training with, right? College
Yeah,
wrestlers, black
yeah,
belts.
man. Yeah,
Um,
man. Listen, man. You know, it's funny because I went from so I've fought obviously collegiate wrestlers, high school state wrestling champs. They're pretty common at this point in the MMA scene. But it was years ago that my fight training transitioned from predominantly striking to predominantly grappling and wrestling. And when I say years ago, I mean in my amateur career, because my coaches had the foresight to know that I was going to be knocking guys out, and people were going to be trying to put me on my back for a while. Um, and man, if you could be a fly on the wall in my training room and just see the way that I, you know, not just defend takedowns, but aggressively pursue them on other people. And my bag of grappling too. You know, I actually enjoy it now because I've gotten decent at it. So it'll be a good time, man, when I get to go out there and have one of these fights of the nights where the highlight reel is 10 minutes and a 15-minute fight. But it's coming in due time. You guys will finally be able to see it one day when I get that right matchup.
or just go look at, you know, your progression in your regional fights.
Yeah.
Like I remember watching fights where I'm like, Malcolm, get a whizzer. Malcolm, where's my overhook? You know, to all of a
Yeah, yeah.
sudden now
That's
like
right.
nice wide base, swim for those underhooks,
Oh
disengage.
yeah.
They
Oh
take you
yeah.
down, you're popping right back up like Jose
Oh
Aldo.
yeah.
So they just don't know about that because it hasn't been shown at the biggest
That's
stage.
right.
But I've been watching the progression, so I know what's up. Malcolm, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me right here, right now on Half the Battle. I'm grateful. The fans are grateful.
Yes,
And
sir.
fans, like we said, this UFC hat right here, Malcolm's gonna sign it once y'all get me
10K, let's get
to,
it.
to 10K subscribers on YouTube. Maybe we'll even you know, throw something else, a poster or something else. Like, let's
Yeah,
hook the
yeah, for sure,
fans
for
up.
sure.
Y'all hook us up, we'll hook you up. Y'all know where to follow Malcolm, Wallow the Machine on all platforms. Check out Grizzly Fight Co., you know, to get his merch. And Malcolm, any message for the fans before I get you out of here, my man?
No, nothing crazy, but I will say it. Shit, you just talked about a poster. I got some extra posters from my last fight. Pick a number past 10K. If we hit that number, I'll sign it and we'll mail that to the next guy.
My man, this is a man of the people right here, Malcolm. You
We'll
know, it's
do it.
always an honor. Just keep doing what you're doing. I don't got to tell you shit. Just, you know, you got the people around you that are going to keep you level headed. You don't need someone
Yes,
like
sir.
me to tell you. Like, I know that if you fuck off, like, I know the
Oh
bros
man,
and pop.
yeah. That's right. That's right. Yeah, no, you know, the same guys I'm with now, I say it all the time, are the guys I started with. A lot of the reason that I'm here today is because I learned to shut up and respect what they tell me to do. They've never steered me wrong. And these are guys of character, morality, right and wrong. So I'm very happy with the people I got around me. You'll never see it change. I'll try to stay in touch with the world, the community, my fans, my supporters forever, and never change, no matter how successful I get, and keep pursuing these wins, man.
Amazing, amazing. For all the fans, listen, I'm gonna do the prelims tomorrow. I feel like this podcast has just been incredible. There's no reason to
Great,
keep
man.
going. I'm gonna do the prelims tomorrow for y'all. But Malcolm, thanks again for the time. Y'all know where to follow him. Y'all know where to follow me.
Yes,
Subscribe to
sir.
Half the Battle everywhere podcasts are found. Let's get those 10K subs so we can get some Malcolm Wellmaker free sign merch. So Malcolm,
Yes,
thanks again
sir.
for your time. You know, it's always a pleasure. And until the next time, let's cash these bets.